What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode with me, Ash. So this is the first episode I've been doing since I got out of the monastery. Now, when I say that, I mean the first episode that I'm doing by myself and not being on a different other podcast. So this is good. This is exciting because today I want to talk to you about the art of surrender or having no resistance. So this has been a big thing of my life recently. And when I say it's been a big thing in my life, it's always been happening. It's really happened. I started noticing it at the start of the year when I was really getting into my self work, when I was going through a lot of the things I was going through. It's really become noticeable since leaving the monastery. Now, before I went away, I was in Bali and I met this guy who became my mentor and a very good friend of mine. That's whose house I'm in now in Dubai. He had sent to me a book called The Art of Surrender. No, sorry, The Surrender Experiment. And The Surrender Experiment is by a guy called Michael R. Singer. Now, he said, I recommend you read or listen to this book and just see if you can implement some of it, because I think it's going to play a big part or go hand in hand with the things you're doing at the monastery. So I downloaded the book when I got to Chiang Mai airport, and I had an hour and a half to start listening to the book before I got to the monastery. Now, I listen to everything on 1.5. My brain needs something on 1.5. Depending how long the message is, I may listen to it on 2. The people who know me think I probably speak at 1.5 or 2 anyway. So if I do, I'm sorry. But I started listening to it. Now, at the risk of giving away some of the book, I'm sorry, but I'm going to share some of the principles and the things about this book and why it resonated so much with me. Now, what Michael R. Singer talks about is after he finished school back in the 60s, I think it was 60s or 70s, he went out to the forest and he basically wanted to learn to meditate. And he just wanted to meditate. He didn't want to work. He didn't want to do any of that sort of stuff. His meditation, deepening his meditation was the goal. What had happened, they ended up wanting to build a house, which I think was a temple. And from that, they built the temple, him and one of his friends. And a sheriff had actually heard about the temple and the design, and he came out to the property and he'd actually asked them if they would like to do some construction for him around his house. So they started doing some construction. They got the extra money in that they needed at the time. And that then led to more work, which then led to them creating their first business called Built with Love. Through Built with Love, they kept building, they grew the team, they had a proper business running. And when computers came around, he then started diving into computers because from memory, I think they needed a computing system for the company they were working for Built with Love. He actually ended up really falling in love with coding, and he ended up landing a job with one of the coding company, with the company that he bought it off, and basically started developing his own coding company. Now, that coding company is now one of the biggest in the US, and they actually created the medical system for the United States. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because everything that came to him, it wasn't something he was chasing. He literally wanted to be in the forest and meditating. He wanted to deepen his meditation. But what he did was surrendered to what was happening, went with the flow of what life was giving, and things started happening to the point is he has one of the biggest companies in the world. And when you hear about what people say about him, it's like he hasn't changed as a person. He's still the very big hippie that he was back in the day, just a very intelligent, wealthy hippie. And look, I'm a hippie at heart as well. So that really spoke to me because it was just literally the art of surrender. Now, I started implementing these things when I was at the monastery. Now, don't get me wrong. I was in a position where I had no phone. I had no access to I had no access to the outside world. And I was in a position where I could surrender because I had nothing else to do besides eat, sleep, meditate. That's literally it. So I was in a position to really start doing things about this. And that's what I was doing. That's what meditation is. Meditation is surrendering. Meditation is removing the resistance. You want to be able to sit with yourself. You want to be able to sit and observe the thoughts, observe what's happening, and not make any judgments, not get attached to anything, and surrender and let go. So much so is I had something happen. I had access to my phone. I think it was about once a week because I was doing some collaborations with a monastery, and I'd actually seen a message come through from a friend letting me know about some things that had basically kicked off back home in Perth. Now, with these things, it normally would have stressed me the fuck out. Like stressed out to the point is I would have been. There's no better way to put it. I would have been fucking worried, but I wasn't. I handled the conversation correctly, and I didn't let that affect my meditation when I went back into it. And that was the monks that were the teaching monks. That was their worry. That was their concern that I was going to not be able to get the full experience of what I was there for because of these things that I'd learned and what was happening, which wasn't the case. Because I was practicing that art of surrender, I was able to continue the meditation, have some of the best experiences I've had. I had moments come forward where I had a vision of a beautiful woman that I'm now dating, where I saw our baby there and her on my shoulder on the other side. I surrendered to that feeling and I said, look, this is something that I experienced. And she was like, really love you to come to Belgrade. Oh, actually, no, sorry. She goes, I'm in Belgrade. Why don't you come out? And I was like, yeah, actually. I then messaged her a few days later. I was like, I'd love to come to Belgrade. What do you think? She said, yes. So I did. But I'll finish that part in a second. Anyway, once we got out of the monasteries, they took us into Chiang Mai. And I spoke to the guys back home to find out exactly what was going on. And they let me know. Basically, everything had gone to shit. And I'm being very, very cryptic here with some of this because there's stuff that I don't want to talk about just because it's not my place to talk about. But we had to be out of the house where we were living at on the 25th, which gave me, I got out of the monastery on the 1st, so it gave me 25 days. Now, I didn't get home until the 15th, so technically I only had 10 days when I got home to be able to sort everything else out. First week of October, I was in Chiang Mai, and that time in Chiang Mai was beautiful. I was really getting back into the flow of life, integrating myself back into daily life, where a lot of people do struggle with it after the monastery, because you go from such a high energetic place to then being dropped, not just dropped as in you're out of the mountains and you're back out of a lower level, you're put back into a low vibrational sort of area. There's stress, there's anger, there's people, there's energies, there's all sorts that are just combining. So it was put into a very high stressful place, but we still made sure we continued the practices of meditation. Made sure I continued the practices that I was going through to continue to deepen my calm, deepen my surrender, and just become the most elevated version of me. Around this time, Chiang Mai were going through the floods. The week before we got out, they'd been flooded and it decimated a lot of the city. And then it flooded again when we got out. Now, it was one day, me and my mate Patrick, we were walking back to the hotel and we saw people putting apartment we were staying in. Really beautiful apartments as well. And we saw people putting sandbags up. I'm like, what's going on? They said, oh, look, the river's going to break again tonight. So it'll be flooding. We thought, oh, okay, they've got the sandbags up. No one seems to be too worried. We'll be sweet. We went to bed, and when I woke up in the morning, I walked out on the balcony, took a big stretch, and the car park was flooded. 1 second. Coffee time. So the car park was flooded. Now, we thought, look, we're good. We've got everything. We've got power. We've got 7-Eleven across the road. It's not going to be too bad. Doesn't look too bad downstairs. So we carried on with that day. We went upstairs, we trained, we meditated, and thought, let's go downstairs and smoke a joint. Now, at this point in time, at the monastery, I stopped drinking coffee, I stopped smoking weed, I stopped taking my ADHD medication. I removed myself from a lot of the outside world and outside forces. Yes, I am drinking coffee again because I do love coffee, and smoking weed is something that I still do every now and again. When I was in Thailand, it was every day, but it's because I enjoy it. And I wanted to try meditation while stoned. Amazing, by the way. Anyway, also, don't condone drugs. Sorry. Let me just move past and forget how funny I am for a second. Anyway, we'd gone downstairs and decided, went to smoke a joint in the morning. And we saw everyone packing their bags up. We're like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we don't want to be here just in case the floods really take off. So we're like, okay, cool. Anyway, smoked the joint, went back upstairs. And next thing you know, they something came over the speakers, basically telling us we had to evacuate. When we got downstairs, we went downstairs to check out what was going on. And they said, look, we all need to evacuate because we don't know, the water's going to continue to rise and we're going to have to cut power to the actual building if it continues to rise. So we then didn't have access to the 7-Eleven and we wouldn't have had any power in the apartment. Plus the following day, I was actually flying to Belgrade and there was no fucking chance in hell that I was going to miss that flight. So I was like, dude, we need to leave. So we went upstairs, we packed our bags very, very lazily. It took our sweet ass time. I think it was about an hour or so that we were doing it because we thought, it's going to be okay to get out. We were so wrong. We got downstairs, basically the entire building was downstairs. This went from a line of about 10 people to a 6-hour wait of people. Now, granted, we were all standing around for a long time because the trucks were evacuating the entirety of this, I think it was the southern part of Chiang Mai. So we had to wait our turns. But we thought, fuck, we need to find an apartment. So we went through this whole amount of stress going, fuck, what are we going to do? And I was like, hold on a second. No. This isn't how we do this. Let's stop. Let's pause. Let's take a breath. Let's smoke a joint. And let's surrender to what the universe is going to do. We need to surrender to this moment because this isn't happening for a reason. This isn't happening for no reason. Okay, this is a test for us to be able to see how we handle this. Everything that we learned, let's see how we handle this. So we took a little bit, then we started looking for accommodation. It took us a while to find the accommodation, but we finally found that house, the apartment, which was actually in front of our nose the entire time. But because of the stress we were under, or me in particular, I didn't see it. Once I was able to calm and relax and remove the brain fog due to the stress, as I was able to find this place that was able to take us in for 2 days. But also it didn't break the budget. Like we weren't having to, because everywhere was packed. Literally the entire south of Chiang Mai was being evacuated. So it was most places were really, really booked. So we got that, we booked into there and we waited for however long it was to be able to get the truck to get out of there. When I got to the following day I flew out to Belgrade and that was a moment of surrender on a completely different level. This is someone I met, and it was only recent. We'd only met about 6 weeks beforehand. But it was one of those connections which you really, everything felt right. It was we spent ages, hours talking when we first met. And we both kind of knew before we knew. But it was one of those things where we'd both been divorced and we were like, look, we really want this to work. So let's make sure we surrender to the emotions of feelings that we're having and experiencing. And let's properly get to know each other in this week. And it was one of the most incredible weeks of my life, and I want to say her life as well. I'm making a judgment for her, but it's a pretty nice assumption. So much so that I can't wait to see her. Like it's the relationship has developed really fucking strongly and deeply, and I'm so fucking grateful for it. I'm so grateful for her. I'm really excited for the future with her, but we've surrendered to the feelings and the emotions and allowing us to just work with what's happening. And it's a beautiful art of surrender. From that, I then came back to Australia. Now, going back to Australia, I was going from 3 beautiful experiences, even 4. Bali, a month in Chiang Mai, a week in still another week in Chiang Mai, a week in Belgrade, and then into Australia. I came from some really, really high energy places into a shitstorm. And when I say I came into a shitstorm, it was heavy energy, like heavy, dark energy. The people around me were stressing. The people around me were anxious. But I knew something had to happen. Now, a little precursor to me coming into Dubai and what kind of ties into this is I'd been thinking about coming into Dubai since Bali because I'd met a lot of really good people out there. I know a lot of people in Dubai, and I've always had a bit of a calling and pulling to come here. My mentor, I met him. This is a beautiful house that I'm staying in. He was one reason, because I wanted to be closer to him, to be able to work with him a lot closer. And obviously my girlfriend, she's from here as well. Now that was a bonus. That was a bonus, because I was always looking to come here as well. But the fact she's here is amazing. When I found out that I had to be out of the house, that I had to leave, and that we had to be out of the house within the 10 days that I had home, that was my sign to go, cool, Dubai it is. Because I was asking the universe, I need another sign. Give me a sign. I was going to stay around Perth. And I didn't fucking like it. Like, Australia, it's my home, but it doesn't feel like home. I was born there. I've never really enjoyed living there. So I was always looking for a way to leave since I went back. Basically, the house being taken away was the universe showing me, it's like, no, get the fuck to Dubai, leave. What bigger sign do you need? I'm going to take your accommodation away from you. So I surrendered to that, and that's how I spoke to my mentor, and he was like, yep, we'll look after you for 6 weeks until you move on to the next step. So that's why I'm here. But what came with that was then I couldn't book a flight to come here until I'd sorted out what to do with my dog. Now, you guys all know Hades. Well, most of you will know who he is. He is that beautiful blue-eyed Staffsky that is nothing but pure love, a ball of energy, just wants to love and hug and sit with his fucking lipstick out. He does. I actually had to ask the question when I first got him, does he always do that? And yeah, he will sit there and just have his lipstick out all day. He gets it from his dad. That's what I used to do in the stripping, okay? So not anymore. Sorry, I nearly burst. I spat my coffee everywhere. Anyway, I then had to work out what to do with him. Now, I had 10 days to sort this out. I was going to fly him back east, and we were going to try to find somewhere that he could live. But unfortunately, that hasn't been able to happen. At that point in time, I didn't know. This is only recent occurrence that we've learned this. But what I did was I was looking at dog shelters, pet sitters, fosters, everything to try to find someone that could take him in, and nowhere was booked. Everywhere was booked. No one would take him, but they were too expensive. I didn't trust the way they looked or their bio, how they treat him. So I used the art of surrender again, as I just surrendered, removed the resistance against what it is, and was like, okay, cool. The universe is going to help me in this situation, because at the end of the day, the universe is love, and it's all the universe and my life and the world and the planet and everything is working for me. That, with a combination of meditation, was allowing me to just almost practically be asleep through the day, because I was that laid back and relaxed about it. But I ended up finding this one couple, amazing couple. And you know what? They'd been there under my eyes again the entire time, but I hadn't seen them because I was just constantly going through, looking and scrolling, thinking, shit, I need to find someone quick. But when I found them, not only were they available, they were the cheapest people on there, but also they were the most skilled. She was a dog trainer. Loved dogs, worked with dogs for the past 5 years. Her dad was a dog trainer. And, pardon me, my God, I'm really sorry. It was one of the most beautiful things to know that she was able to take him. I got them to go meet him. We went and met them, and they got along like really fucking well. She was great with him. And I was like, I found the perfect person to look after my dog for the short term. So and not only that, she'd actually taken him a couple of days early to help me out so I could get ready to move. So surrendering to that experience was fucking amazing. Not only that, the people around me were stressing to fuck. They didn't know what was going to happen. They'd come up with an idea, they'd go back on the idea, and then it would just go out in this vicious circle of not knowing what to do, and it was just constant stress. Instead of just sticking to a decision and surrendering to a decision, which would happen, it ended up being a vicious cycle of just nothing happening. And the cycles unfortunately continued for them. I wish I was able to help. I wish I was able to do something, but you can't make someone do something they're not ready for. You can't make someone surrender. You can't make someone trust in the universe and trust in life. And anyway, the point being is I was able to get the things done that I needed to in more than enough time to get me over here with zero stress. Because I surrendered, I removed the resistance, and I let life flow, and I let life happen for me, not to me. Once I moved over here, I was able to be welcomed into a beautiful household to help me whilst I'm just starting here in Dubai. I've been bumping into friends. I've been meeting people. I've been connecting and networking and allowing things to happen, and just, again, really embracing this thing of surrender and no resistance. Now, there's a beautiful quote, a beautiful saying by a guy called David Bayer, who's a podcast that I watch, and I highly recommend you all give it a listen to. Beautiful personal development podcast. And this thing is desire plus non-resistance equals desired result. Basically means get the fuck out of your own way, ask for it, then let the universe do its thing whilst you continue on working. Now, a caveat to this is it's not like the law of attraction. It's not like the law of attraction, the secret, sorry, where they turn around and go, basically manifest it, ask for it, affirm it, and it will happen. It's not the case. There still needs to be things that you're doing and working towards. So that was it. I've been surrendering and I've been working towards. Like, still actively where I am in the situation now is my dog has about 10 days left at this person's house until they have to give him up. The idea of what we were going to do with him can't happen anymore. So I took to social media, which is the last thing I wanted to do, very calmly. And I've surrendered to the understanding and the idea that, okay, I might not be able to see him again and something else needs to happen. So I've done that. There is a potential that I found today where someone might be able to take him as a foster dog until I'm ready to fly him over here, which is fucking amazing. I'll believe it when it happens, but I'm not getting attached to the emotion. I'm not getting attached to the feeling that it's going to happen until it happens. I'm surrendering and removing the resistance. But I'm doing the things that I need to do to still make sure something can happen. I'm just not freaking the fuck out about it. Now, all of this is coupled with meditation. Meditation plays a very big part in this, because like a shower for the body after the day, start of the day, where we clean the body of the dirt, we do the same with the mind with meditation. Now, I know a lot of people go, I can't fucking meditate. It's like, cool, I get it. I was the exact same. I didn't think I could, but you can. I've gone from someone who used to sit for 10 minutes up to 60 minutes to 90 minutes in a row, like straight. Granted, I was in the position of learning how to do it at the monastery, but it was practice. Anyone can do it. Combining that beautiful practice of meditation and surrendering to whatever's coming, to life, to knowing that life is happening for me, to know that the universe is love, to know that everything will always work out as it should, it's freeing, in my opinion. Because I don't have to, I know what I want. I know exactly what I want. And I've put those out into the universe. I know what the fuck they are. And I'm doing the things that I know every single day that are going to put me towards that. But also, if I come up against resistance, I'm not fighting it. I will do what I can. I will do what I can in those moments, depending on what the situation is. But I'm not going to let myself get angry and stressed out and pissed off about it, because that is going to bring in a different energy, which is then causing more resistance. That's not surrendering. And the funny fucking thing is, the more that I do this, meditate every single day, surrender to life, do the things that I need to that are progressing me towards where I want to go, everything is happening for me. There are things that haven't happened for me, but I'm also not attached to those because they weren't meant to happen. It is a very woo-woo way of looking at it. It is a very different way to look at it, because we are conditioned to live a certain way. We are conditioned in society to live in a state of fear, in a state of worry. But that's not the way I choose to live anymore. And the thing is, everything is a decision. Everything is a choice. Even when you say it's not a choice, it is a choice. Now, don't get me wrong, there are different circumstances which make choices a lot harder. And some situations we have to be in, we can't get out of. We don't have a choice but to be in that. But the way we perceive that situation, the way we view that situation, is a choice. The thing is, our internal world is our internal world. No one can control that internal world. We are the ones that have that control over the internal world. So no matter if the external situation that's happening to, let me start that again. No matter the external situation that's happening to you, whether it's against your choice or not, What's happening internally is your choice, how you're responding to that. That is your choice. And funny enough, the thoughts becomes feelings, becomes actions. The thoughts that we have, the energy that we put out, are the things that are going to really shape our external world, because it'll change the perspective and the way we perceive the things that are happening around us. We have a thought, it's going to change how we feel. If our thoughts are negative, we're going to act in ways that are negative, conducive to that emotion and to that thought. But if our thoughts are positive, then our feelings are going to follow the positive thoughts with the positive feelings, which will result in positive actions. And that all comes down to you having the control over how you think, how you feel, and what you do. So that's basically how I've shifted in everything that's been happening. I've been changing the thoughts, which have changed my feelings and have changed my actions. We all have that power. Now, that is an overgeneralization. There are people that obviously won't, that have certain things where they are completely disabled. There are people that suffer mental illness. There are those things. And obviously, I'm generalizing when I'm saying this. But for majority of people, you're in a position where you have that choice. The choice is yours. You have the power to change. You have the power to change your position. You have you have the power to do everything you want to do with your life, because it comes down to removing the resistance and surrendering to that. So this has been a brief thing. I say brief thing, it's probably about 30 minutes of the surrender that I've been having in my life and how I'm feeling where I'm at. But the beautiful thing is, I've accepted that life is happening for me. I've accepted that what comes to me is meant to come to me. And what doesn't come to me wasn't meant to come to me. I'm not getting attached to the experiences. I'm not getting attached to the outcomes. Because this life, this beautiful experience that we're having, I just said having, I'm so, wow, I'm making up words here. This beautiful, one more time, this beautiful life that we're having is an experience that's happening for us. We're in a position I just lost my train of thought. We're in a position where we can create our own reality. And that comes down from the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions and the actions we decide to take, which is all choice. So surrender, remove the resistance, and choose to be, and choose to think, and choose to feel, and choose to do the things that are going to make life happen for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me ramble and stutter and do things. And I will talk to you very soon on the next podcast. Thank you.